Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is ColourPop palettes. I have done a bunch of ColourPop swatch and review videos. I think I'm going to make all those videos into a playlist, and then I'll link that playlist below so that you can check those out. If you want to see more about any of these palettes, check out that playlist. I have not reviewed all of these, but I have done quite a few of them. If you know me, you know I am a huge fan of the ColourPop pressed eyeshadow palettes. They're some of my favorite palettes in my collection. A few of them made it into my best of 2017 video, so it was really difficult for me to rank them best to worst, but I threw out the idea of doing that in a video a while back, and a lot of people said they would like to see it. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm only gonna be talking about palettes that are available for sale on the ColourPop website right now as I'm filming this, which means I won't be talking about the She palette from the Femme Rosa collection. I do have that one, but I won't be talking about it in this video because it is no longer available. And I know that ColourPop is gonna be dropping more palettes soon. I know that there's one coming out with their Valentine's Day collection, so I better hurry up and film this. More palettes is just gonna make this job harder. I have 12 palettes here. I'm not gonna be talking about the face palettes. I have one of the highlighter palettes. I don't have the Give Me More palette. So we're just talking about eyeshadow palettes. Let's start with my least favorite and work up to my most favorite. In spot number 12, sadly, my least favorite ColourPop palette is the My Little Pony palette. I'm so sad to say it because this is such a cute little palette. I love the packaging. It's adorable, it's nostalgic, it's colorful. The shade selection in here is fun, but what it boils down to is I just wasn't happy with the shadow quality of all the shades in here. This is probably the only palette that I just wasn't happy with all the shadows. So sadly, it's really, really cute, but it is my least favorite. Sorry, ponies. In the number 11 spot, I have the Golden State of Mind palette. Again, super pretty packaging. I was happy with the shadows in here quality-wise. They're just all shimmers. A lot of them are too similar. I just don't find this palette to be super useful in my collection. So not a bad one, it's just not my favorite. Next up in the number 10 spot, it's the newest one to my collection. This is the Give It To Me Straight palette. The shadows in here are great quality. I didn't have any trouble with them. The only reason why I'm ranking this one so low is because it is super similar to another palette that I placed much higher on my ranking. So this is a beautiful palette. I'm not unhappy with it. I just feel that the shades are very repetitive. Because I love the You Had Me at Hello palette so much, this is just not super necessary in my collection, and that's why it's in spot number 10. I have very similar reasoning for placing this Double Entendre palette in spot number 9. I did a video comparing this to the Tartelette Toasted palette, and the shades are so similar. This is pretty much a dupe for that one, and I just preferred the Tartelette Toasted palette a little bit more, so that's why this is in spot number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the Take Me Home palette. This is a little tiny 6-pan palette, and it does have a little mirror in there. These shades are so similar to some of the shades in the Double Entendre palette. I do feel you can get some really similar looks. This one came in just a little bit ahead because of the mirror, and I do think this is a little bit more travel friendly, but again, just really similar shades. Great shadow quality, and I mean, I love a warm neutral eye, but this just isn't super unique and super exciting, so that's why I placed the Take Me Home palette at number 8. This is the Semi Precious palette. I'm ranking this at number 7 because the shade selection is a lot more unique. I think the size is a lot more reasonable and the number of shades is a lot more reasonable. Because a palette like this, for me, has to be paired with other shadows because I do like to throw some mattes in my eye look as well. I just find that an all shimmer palette with only 8 pans is a lot more useful, and you get a lot more range in this one. So that's why Semi Precious is ranking in at number 7. Now we're halfway through the list. At the halfway point, number 6, I have the Element of Surprise palette. There are some really fun, unique shades in here, some pops of color, definitely an element of surprise, but also mixed in with some very wearable shades. I like this palette, I just am not in love with it, and that's why it's right at the middle of the road. Now we're moving into the top 5, and I have to say I really like all of these palettes. It was tough to rank them. I have my reasons, but these are all great palettes. In spot number 5, I have the Yes Please palette. This one has some really bright warm tones. I love how different this is, but I can still get a complete look out of this palette. I could go really neutral, or I can really kick it up with some of these bright shades. I wish that this had slightly more exciting packaging, but overall I am a huge fan of this. If you like warm tones, especially if you're looking for something a little bit different in the sea of warm tone eyeshadow palettes, I think this is it. These really bright shades just set this apart from all the other warm tone palettes out there. Yes, please. Yes, please. This is so hard. In spot number 4, I have the Dream Street palette. This is the collaboration with Kathleen Lights. This was just in my January favorites, and I absolutely adore this palette. I think the shade selection is so fun. Every single shadow has been really pigmented, really easy to work with. If I was somebody that really loved blue eyeshadows, this would probably be at the very top for me. And if I'm gonna wear blue, these bright peacock kind of jewel tone blues are what I'm gonna go for. It's in spot number 4, but I do just absolutely adore this palette. I went back and forth on my top 3 for so long, like way longer than anybody should. Coming in 3rd is the I Think I Love You palette. When I first reviewed this palette, I lost my mind over the shadow quality. I absolutely love this palette. I still take it with me every time I travel. This one is so good. The other two just barely squeaked by this one, and I'll tell you why, but I Think I Love You, I definitely love you. Definitely. In 2nd place is You Had Me at Hello. This palette, first of all, I wish all their palettes have mirrors. I love this feature. The shades in here are gorgeous neutrals with a twist. There's that little pop of purple. I love that the browns have a sort of mustardy undertone. It manages to be neutral and wearable and still unique at the same time. This palette is a better version of the Give It To Me Straight palette. Just in my opinion, like I said, I still like that one. I just like this one better. In the number 1 spot, this is the palette I'm wearing on my eyes today. This is a shock to me that this is my number 1 palette because I almost didn't buy this one. This is the All I See Is Magic palette. I do think this is the best palette that ColourPop has come out with. It is from their holiday collection, so I'm sure it won't be around forever. Definitely go and order this one. Why is this my number 1 palette? I'll tell you. Like all the palettes, the shadow quality is insanely good. All the mattes are soft, blendable, pigmented. The shimmers are in your face, super bright, super easy to work with. What it boils down to here is shade selection. I like having this larger palette with the smaller pans. I feel like you get so much bang for your buck with this one. You could do so many eye looks with this palette. There are neutrals, there are pops of color, blue, green, purple, orange, brown. You have it all in here. I love every shade. I think this is such an exceptional, unique palette. The jewel tones are just speaking to me. The only thing I would change about this palette is I wish there was just 1 or 2 more mattes in here. Honestly, I can get so many great eye looks out of this that it doesn't even matter that there are so many shimmers in here. I absolutely love it. I hope that this sticks around for a while. If you're looking to experiment with a little bit of color, add something a little bit different to your life, this palette's gonna give it to you. Great quality, great price. It's just everything. It's everything. That's all I can say. Like I said, it was really tough for me to rank these because I do overall love all of these palettes. ColourPop palettes are insanely good. And if I put a palette that you love low on the ranking, Please don't be offended. This is just my personal opinion. I have my reasons, just like I'm sure you have your reasons for loving things. With that being said, I'd love to hear what your favorite ColourPop palettes are. I always love hearing from you, so please leave a comment. Let me know what your faves are. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Filming 2 videos in a row where you look exactly the same and they're both about ColourPop. Sounds about right. I'm putting... Okay, quit getting distracted. How good is this eye look though? Of the... Don't be mad at me if you love one that I don't love. Wow. Dramatic much? For watching. Oh. Oh. I'm sweating. I know you don't need to know that. Sorry.